Sometimes some of the donation deck lists that I get a little lost in the sauce, and it's my job to be a bit of a sauce navigator, if you will, and get them back on course. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we're going to be looking at a pretty sweet, in my opinion, mono red devotion deck list for Legacy. And this comes from Logo, and I'm going to show off their original build, which I think was trying to be a little bit too smart rather than getting people dead. And I made some adjustments to this one. Some pretty big adjustments, but I think it keeps the spirit of the original intact. So here's what Logo's original deck list looked like. The payoff card for Mono Red Devotion is primarily Fanatic of Mogis. When it enters, it deals damage to each opponent equal to your devotion to red. And this is a card that I have absolutely adored in EDH in my Delino Wild Mage deck list. And we're gonna highlight that commander card for a second because this is going to highlight where I took the build direction. TLDR of the words is that Delino lets you copy your creatures, sometimes multiple times in a single turn cycle, meaning that with any creature that ETBs and does damage or does something like make treasures, you can get a ton of value quickly. So the original build here was looking to go and build up its devotion count with things like Goblin Chainwhirler and Razorkin Needlehead and even City on Fire to deal triple damage to something instead, and then ultimately end the game with Fanatic of Mogis. The secondary payoff card for playing a devotion deck is Nythkos Shrine to Nyx, which lets you tap probably 2 other lands, and this for an amount of mana equal to your devotion of that color. And this deck was hoping to use Minamo, School at Water's Edge, to untap legendary permanents like Nythkos or the One Ring to generate a very large amount of value. But there were a couple of problems with this deck's construction. Number one, the deck wasn't actually good at generating devotion. The deck was trying to play things like Vexing Devil that are not actually going to end up in play. And the deck is not going wide with something like Goblins that generates just a massive number of bodies to get City on Fire into play. And it was also theoretically going against its land count. The idea was, oh, I can use Nythkos, attack with this, bounce Nythkos, use Nythkos again. That was the conceptual idea, but I think what is more realistically going to happen is you play a 2-drop that is meant to get in early damage, and then you're not doing anything with your lands other than replaying them. And I think this and this as well work in a low to the ground aggro deck, but a devotion deck is actually trying to drag the game on for a little while, build up devotion, and then do a powerful finish. So what I liked from the deck list was this idea of using the One Ring as a source of card advantage to make up for this Chrome Mox type stuff early on. I liked the idea of main deck Red Blasts in this Psychic Frog build metagame, and I liked the idea of Razorkin Needlehead as a way to start increasing your devotion count. But let's start thinking about math. What are the chances that you line up Minamo with a blue land to activate it in your deck that, not counting the second copy of Minamo, has 6 potential sources of blue? Am I going to line up Minamo with one of these sources of blue with Nythkos while having devotion? Or with the One Ring while being able to dedicate mana to untapping it? And I think the answer is no. So while I think this deck was on the right track, I think the supporting cast is not helping it, and I think that adding the blue into the mana base is just going to be very frustrating. If you draw a blue-producing land in your deck that is trying to play Goblin Chainwhirler, you're going to have a bad time. So I rebuilt, keeping the same general core that is on the right side of the screen. And this is where I ended up. Taking some inspiration from my Delina Wild Mage deck, one of the biggest things that I want to do is copy my Fanatic of Mogis. If you just are copying Fanatic of Mogis every turn, or multiple times in a turn, it doesn't necessarily matter that you don't have 10 devotion. I don't think you need to treat this deck as a combo deck list like Logo was trying to do. I think you treat it as a control deck list that wants to drag the game on, and then you can go and just finish whenever. So I wanted more removal in the deck list, and I added Pyrogoyf to the deck, which is something that I have been pretty happy with in Legacy. I think the power level of this card is quite real. And Pyrogoyf and Fanatic of Mogis together give the deck redundancy. If you can copy Fanatic or Pyrogoyf with Fable of the Mirrorbreaker or Cursed Mirror, that is a great amount of value. And I have added Harmonic Prodigy to the deck list in the place of that 8-mana Convoke enchantment that I've already forgotten the name of. Now, if an ability of a shaman or wizard you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Guess what's a shaman? Sounds good, right? So we can go and copy our triggers from Fanatic of Mogis by making new copies of Fanatic of Mogis or just doubling the triggers with Harmonic Prodigy. And Harmonic Prodigy opens up some other shenanigans. Harmonic Prodigy into Burning Tree Emissary can be a way to power out these 4-drops. Burning Tree Emissary is a little bit awkward because Razorkin Needlehead was going to be one of the better ways to go and generate turn 2 devotion. Some of the other ones that we can do are a little bit more awkward, as we are a 1-ring deck with some artifact mana. So that's just something to keep in mind. We can't really max out on our Eidolons here. You may notice that a bunch of the numbers in this deck look funny. Oftentimes, Legacy decks are just like 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Well, we have a lot to think about here. Nythkos is bad until it is generating bonus mana. And so we probably don't want to max out on 4 of those, even though it is a central card to the deck list, because it is not going to help us play red cards early on, and we do have a decent number of them. And you'll notice, like, there's 3 Lotus Petals, 2 Pyroblasts, 2 Eidolons, 1 Cursed Mirror, 3 Spirit Guides. Well, what's going on here? There's some tension between wanting things that are red to put under Chrome Mox and wanting different card types for growing our Pyrogoyf. So, like, we've got Devotion Pips to worry about, we've got Imprinting Chrome Mox, we've got Graveyards to worry about. There's a lot of different angles going on here, and I'm trying to get ratios right, which is a little bit tricky when you're in sort of strange, unprecedented territory. As far as the sideboard goes, the general idea is pretty straightforward. We want a bunch of cards that answer reanimation targets, as that's not really something that we can mess with in game 1. Ghost Vacuum is pretty strong here. Combos well with Laelia or Lilia, the Blade Reforged, which was another card that I considered for this deck list. But I think we get to play Nythkos or Ancient Tomb, not both. And so I'm going to try to stay true to the original deck list and see how Nythkos fares. And then we have mostly fair removal and an Oops, I Win button versus Eldrazi. So yeah, let's see if Mono Red Devotion can hang in Legacy. I am sure that I have forgotten something that is necessary to make this deck list tick, but hopefully we're on the right track. And folks, should you need some cards for this, like your Pyrogoyfs, if you don't own those yet, because that's like clearly a Legacy staple, DOAMagic.com is a great place to shop. Use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order, and you always get free shipping. What's not to like about that? You're going to somewhere like MagicCon Vegas, check out Big Purple Banner, pretty hard to miss. With that being said, let's battle. Okay, so we have 2 temporary sources of mana here and 1 land. I don't know if that is really going to cut it. We can keep this one, play turn 1 Fable, and as long as Fable works, we probably play Fable into Fable while growing Pyrogoyf. I think I ended up with like 28 mana sources. I went through a few iterations of this deck list. Yeah, 28 not counting Cursed Mirror as a mana source. Let's try to make it work. Harmonic Prodigy also works with the Fable of the Mirror Breaker Goblin Shaman. Was one of the reasons why I wanted to get that into the deck. Where are my Blood Moons? In my sideboard. Oh, it's Elvish Reclaimer. Sure. Alright, so would love to play a Pyrogoyf. It will be big relatively quickly. We have a little friend. Don't mind that at all. So let's get a mountain. And I think I am down for turn 1 Fable here. I have that into Harmonic Prodigy immediately. And then we can follow up with Pyrogoyf, maybe taking out a larger sized creature beyond that. That's fine. Sure. All right. Furies are also in the sideboard. Romox. 1, 2, 3, 4? 1. Imprint. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Play Pyrogoyf. Do I loot Fable of the Mirror Breaker? Yeah. I think I do. There's other things that I'd rather draw. It's just fine. Okay, that is not one of them. That can just go under Chromox. This succeeds in putting an enchantment in the yard for Pyrogoyf. Let's send in with this, see if my opponent wants to trade for an Elvish Reclaimer, which would be huge for me. They don't. So, Chromox, Imprint Pyroblast, take 3, play the Goyf. I am gonna go and kill some Elvish Reclaimers. I think I am playing a control role in the short. No! No! Oh, that's so sad. Alright, so that gets bigger. So my opponent can rotate here, turn this into a 3/4. And that bounces with Pyrogoyf. I'm going to make this land drop in case I draw the One Ring next turn. Where I can, like, One Ring potentially draw into Nythkos and then do some nonsense. The One Ring was the sort of card that I was hoping to draw. Oh, that's a bad sign for me. So that probably means that there is a Cradle in hand already. Oh, nope. Or that this is just a 4th creature for natural order being... Nope. Alright. Well, I can make a bunch of mana with that. It doesn't really do anything right now. Yeah, that Bojuka Bog is really messing me up here. I can't just, like, kill this immediately. So let's copy a Pyrogoyf here. You going to Madara Uchihami? You are. A Savage Jutsu. This gets phased out, so I don't successfully copy this creature. This means that these are now safe to attack. So I can get a couple of treasures for later. Opponent takes 3. I can always just copy this later if I need mana. So I don't think I need to save this at this stage of the game. Love seeing my opponent drawing land here. Oh, sure. Fully was not expecting the crackback. I'm going to take this hit. I might think about jump blocking in the future. Top of the deck not being kind here. Attempt to copy Pyrogoyf again. Talon Gates from hand. Talon Gates from hand. Sure. It's got to be something, right? I think I'll chump block with Burning Tree Emissary this turn. Is that true? No, I don't think that's true. I think we're just sending in. And passing. Just top deck Atraxa with the ability to cast it. That sucks. Oh, that's bad. How bad? Very bad. Gaia's Cradle. Gaia's Cradle into natural order, I die. Yeah. Wait. They chose Green Sun? They chose Green Sun? Doesn't Cradle natural order just, like, very easily kill me? Okay. Could have been done in a way that pushed damage better as well. Well, I bottomed out here. Now Atraxa kills me in the air. Can I kill my opponent from 17? Maybe. Actually. I have Harmonic Prodigy and Reflection of Kiki Jiki? So with a Fanatic of Mogis, I have 1, 2, 3... Is this Seashell? Yeah, it has a red dot. I think that means it counts as a red for Devotion. I want to take 9, go to 2. Opponent goes to 17. Yes. Oh, that's really annoying. They lose Reflection of Kiki Jiki here. So, I was planning on end of turn, make a copy of Harmonic Prodigy to just go ham if I draw Fanatic of Mogis. So instead, we're going to target Pyrogoyf. Those trigger, they see each other. I am pretty much always dead to Atraxa. I'm going face with these accordingly, rather than killing Grist. Now I think it has to be the One Ring as my draw. But wait, there's more. Yeah, that's fine. Sure. Pyrogoyf token goes away. That is not going to do it here. I am dead in the air. That's a little bit disappointing. Furies, great. There's some tension between Pyrogoyf and Ghost Vacuum. I'll be thinking about those. So the Furies are definitely coming in, and these are my maybes. I'm never playing these. I have 3 Pyroblasts that automatically need to come out as a starting point. That's going to give me the first couple copies of Fury. Then I think these ones go here. I'd rather interact with my opponent early on. That gets me maybe a Fury and a Lightning Bolt. Don't think I'm going to Ghost Vacuum. Let's assume this game goes slow enough that I don't need this as a mana boost. And then I'd like to get this last Blood Moon in there too, I think. Maybe 1 Cursed Mirror? Ooh. Land, Chromux, Imprint, Lotus Petal, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Yeah, this is fine. So I guess sometimes I could not imprint Fanatic of Mogis. Oh wow, opponent is mulliganing into Oblivion here. I think Harmonic Prodigy doubling the triggers from both of my cards means that it's fine to put one of these under here. I still kind of have access to 2 of them. A Force of Vigor pretty much wins my opponent the game on the spot. Like, if I go this all in on these cards, and then my opponent answers this and this at the same time, like, I kind of feel like I'm just dead. So hopefully that does not happen. As soon as I get 1 attack trigger, I think I'm okay. No? I think no. I think I play a Harmonic Prodigy, attack, double the triggers here. I don't think I play Harmonic Prodigy immediately. I think I hold these treasures for a turn. There's Collector Oof to think about versus having some flexibility. Oh man, drawing a Fury is hot. That's a reason to loot through the second Prodigy. Alright, so we are gonna have a sick fucking turn here. Nice. Oh, that is 4 mana to kill both of my opponent's creatures. Okay, I'm into it. So we'll send in, make 3 treasures. Opponent takes 3. I'm gonna cast this for 2 total damage, 4 mana. Wait, hold on. Is my opponent dead if I just Fanatic of Mogis? Whoa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 8, 12. No, they're not dead. Oh, right. Prowess. All right. No, but this maximized my mana use. I don't care about the 1 extra damage. The 1 extra damage is not relevant if my opponent just dies to Fanatic of Mogis the following turn. Yeah, so that would have been play Fanatic of Mogis, 4 damage, 8 damage, 12 damage, 16 direct damage, not counting the combat step. Disgusting. We won the game before we technically did that, and my opponent's mulligan to 4 or whatever it was certainly played into that. Yeah, I am down for this hand. Force of Vigor, again, will be a bit of a problem card. Ooh, sure. See what we draw here. The 1 ring. I don't mind it. So, are we Blood Mooning here? By Blood Moon, I lose the Lightning Bolt. I think I Blood Moon next turn. I could be wrong, but I think keeping my opponent off of 3 mana for things like Green Sun for Collector Oof matters. That's fine. Yeah, and decreasing Cradle mana, always cool. So now I would love Fury to kill both of these. Razorkin Needlehead. Not what I am looking for. So do I want Razorkin Needlehead or Harmonic Prodigy here? I think I want Harmonic Prodigy. Force of Vigor, incredibly good here if my opponent does have it. Negative. So I have not cut them off of green mana. I have to kill Noble Hierarch to accomplish that. And we'll take a little bit of chip damage along the way from these creatures. Dryad Arbor, still a creature under Blood Moon. Layers are the thing that interacts there and makes that the case. Force of Vigor, not Force of Vigor. Let's not use the Lotus Petal this turn. I may have better uses for that in the future, and the Harmonic Prodigy is very replaceable. Ooh. Well, it's not very good right now, as it is just a mountain currently. That may change, and hopefully I'll just bury my opponent in cards. This is a Green Sun, maybe for a Rex Sage? Elector Oof. Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. I'll take some chip damage here. So I'll keep losing life from the One Ring until I remove Collector Oof. Unfortunately, Scalding Tarn is a mountain right now, so I can't fetch my Surveil land. There is a reason why I am only playing a couple of Blood Moons in this deck rather than maxing out on them. Opponent opting to do 3 damage to me rather than 4. So I go to 13. Yeah, I am unsure what red flash creature you are playing around there. Shatter Skull Smashing. Nice. So I can do this, or just X equals 2 on the oof. I'll shut up if they have Talon Gates of Madara. Wait, no I won't, because they still have 4 mana. So they could still put that in from hand. Nope, they don't have it. Alright, 1 ring, draw some cards. Probably win target game from here. I think as soon as this Noble Hierarch is gone, it's game over. And I don't think I'm likely to die to my own 1 ring here. Another Green Sun, it looks like. That could get a Grist to kill my Goblin Shaman token. A White of the Reliquary. Sure. I'm going to take 2. Pyrogoyf. Fantastic. Yes, I will loot away the Lotus Petal. We're probably going to have a good turn. So yeah. Ooh. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I can play both of my 4 drops. Although I might not. So yeah. Pyrogoyf. Target you. I'm going to Harmonic Prodigy. Go to combat. Attack for 2. Generating 2 treasures immediately. Opponent does not take the double block. Then I think I just play this assuming that this is going to be good enough. Because this just triggers twice. So 5 damage both times. And that's good enough for my opponent. So 2 turns from now, we can copy it with Fable of the Mirror Breaker, although we probably just end up swinging for lethal in combat next turn. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I could say all sorts of great things about them, but I'm just going to point to this number. I have 488 deck lists stored on this site. That should give you a feel for how I feel about this website. And if you were to go to my profile, you could see all the deck lists that I'm messing around with, including my EDH decks, and you can even see some of the deck lists I record with before they hit the channel. Ooh. Okay, I think this hand is probably fine. It probably doesn't do anything impressive with Lotus Petal, though. This is probably turn 2, Razorkin Needlehead. Turn 3, Burning Emissary into Fanatic of Mogis, and we are straight up just playing an aggro deck. I should have considered playing Shatter Skull Smashing tapped there. Do I just play Razorkin on 1? I just play Razorkin on 1. Just, like, be less concerned about the hypothetical sequencing and more concerned about dealing initial damage to my opponent, especially if they are a Brainstorm Ponder deck. Because this triggers on the draw step draws as well. I don't know. Like, I could theoretically just do 9 points of damage with that card. On an unlikely to be a cantrip deck. Yeah. So this is where not having game 1 Blood Moons is a really big deal. Alright, no initial creature from my opponent. More Fanatic of Mogis. Sure. We're going to hit in for 2. And I guess just build Devotion. This is not the way that we want to use this card, and this is why we're not playing a full play set of these. They are nice sometimes, but aren't perfect. Ah, great. Now we can cast our Burning Tree Emissary. Oh, wait. Ayavug and Yavamaya, very good combo for making Sowing Mycospawn castable. This slows down my aggression a lot, which is not great. So I'll do this as a land. I maybe cost myself 3 life for not playing that on turn 1. We'll hopefully Fable into Fanatic of Mogis. The 3/3 body on turn 2 cost me 4 points of damage. It's a really big deal. I now have a wastelandable land in play. Actually, I guess if I play the land early, then sowing Mycospawn for wasteland is very detrimental. What, I have like 13 points of burn in hand? 2, 4, 5, 6 plus 7. Ooh, am I getting dismembered? Ozalex command, sure. Ooh, right, Razorkin. Putting in some work. Okay. I might not die. There is a chance for me here. Uh-oh. Whenever a non-artifact permanent you control enters, you may return another permanent you control that shares a permanent type with it to its owner's hand. So my opponent could bounce their Sowing Mycospawn here to reuse it. Fuck me. My fun has been ruined by my opponent's fun. This is bullshit. So this does trigger on the lands too. Although that is much less profitable. So this is a kicked one. So this gets to get rid of one of my mountains, while probably also wastelanding me. Not wastelanding me. I do lose a mountain, though. I don't think they're bouncing Thought-Knots here. Oh, I'm wrong. Ooh. Oh, wait, they can just replay the Thought-Knots here immediately. Right, Eye of Ugin is broken. So which one of these am I losing? Probably the Pyrogoyf, since it interacts with the onboard creatures. Like, getting Thought-Knots here out of the way is big game. I am getting rid of Chrome Mox. I think I'm getting rid of Fanatic of Mogis, too. I think I need, like, a One Ring or a Pyrogoyf here. Let's loot through both. Yikes. I don't really know how I'm winning. I think it involves a bluff, though. I'm going to send in with all of these and see how my opponent blocks. I'm going to get 4 damage in. Did not successfully block. I'll do the post-combat Harmonic Prodigy, which means that I don't get the second treasure. So down to 9 with the draw. Artifact destruction? Is that what I forgot? Yeah, that's what I don't have. Gross. Okay, it's not wasteland. So is my opponent returning Thought-Knots here? No. A small endless one that can bounce the Sowing Mycospawn again. Can be done with Kicker again. This is sweet. I lose my last land. Maze of Ith, sure. Which is currently a mana-producing land. My opponent can then bounce Endless One, replay it for free off Eye of Ugin, bounce the Sowing Mycospawn again. Oh boy. You bet. Not kicked. So the kicker is just exile target land, so not optional if you do kick it. We get some mana floating here. So where are we ultimately going with this? This is going to repeat. Because the Sowing Mycospawn causes a land to enter, which causes, a land to be bounced if my opponent wants. Does this just rip all of the lands out of deck? I'm going to fast forward. Okay, I think we are finally hitting end of turn. So it doesn't literally rip all of the lands out of deck, but it gets a lot of them. I'm not technically, dying or anything, but it's certainly not good. I think I'm passing the turn here. I imagine that Eye of Ugin just kills me when my opponent untaps with all of this. That should not be hard. So there's that activation. Getting Glaring Fleshraker. I see. So the idea is Glaring Fleshraker Cloudstone Curio loops, where each time you loop an Endless One, you deal 1 damage to the opponent. Okay, that makes sense. I'm going to fast forward, because this turn is probably going to involve something very similar to the last turn, but I get burned out a lot in process. Okay, I think my opponent is going to kill me. I don't think I'm going to get the extra draw that I need to kill my opponent with something like a Fanatic of Mogis off the top. This is a cool brew. I don't think it is Magic Online viable, though, unfortunately. We were not getting there. Okay. So I want things that remove creatures, and I want Blood Moon. That means that I've got 8 cards to work with. We're not Pyroblasting this game. Probably go some of my early Devotion out, since I am hoping to interact early on instead of build Devotion here. And I'm not sure on the last cut. This is really hurting my early game Devotion building if I take that out, as well as my finisher. Yeah, my opponent says, it's just somebody clicks on Magic Online. All right. With one mana source off the top, this is exactly what I want. But it needs to be next turn. Because I think if I miss, I'm just going to lose the game. I'll mulligan that. This is a little slow. I think after mulliganing once, I will keep it. It is just awkward. I also don't think I get to surveil land in this matchup. I think against Glaring Fleshraker is just too risky. Sure. Don't like seeing that. Okay, no immediate creature came down. Sure. I think I am imprinting a Fanatic of Mogis here. Play patterns are really warped to play around Sowing Mycospawn, because I can't play this tapped this turn to save the life. I can't surveil land. Let's see how bad this is. Yep, that's why we did not play out any of the non-basics. Now my opponent can grab a Yavimaya here to make Ayavugan even better. Yep. And this turn can still get worse from here. Yep. Basic Forest. I don't think I am surveil landing with my opponent's Cloudstone Curio deck in particular. I think I have to be very careful. Do I turn this into a basic? Yeah, I don't want to have a tapped fetch land that my opponent can wasteland. I probably should have done Mountain before I drew. We'll play our Ring, and hopefully I take a turn to set up with like double Harmonic Prodigy, and then just outright kill my opponent. That would be cool. I'm going to lose 2 lands here in all likelihood. Yeah, that's rough. But now it's unlikely that I get to double Harmonic Prodigy set up for my best possible scenarios. Let's surveil. That's just too late with 9 power on board. It's unfortunate, but I believe that is the case. Yeah, I think I just die to aggro here. Like, I can take a bunch of draws next turn and hopefully play a new 1 ring to buy me another turn. But I don't foresee that happening. I don't foresee a win happening from here. So take 2, draw some cards. So 4 mana, play a new copy of the 1 ring. Prowess trigger. Keep this one, draw some cards. Well, there's a Fanatic. So I think I am setting up to try to outright kill with this next turn. So that cost me Spirit Guide and Lotus Petal. I get 3 points of combat damage here. This combat step doesn't matter, but I can be dead to something like a Kozilek's Command that my opponent can just cast on my turn. Woohoo, yeah. Alright, Fanatic of Mogis. Can you steal a game for me, bud? Draw. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. Sorry, 5 mana. So I have 3 Devotion, 3, 6, 9, 12. These don't get in for lethal combat damage. Is there any way I survive the next turn worth of combat? I have to block all 3 Sowing Mycos spawns and both Glaring Fleshrakers, so I need to block 5 bodies, which I can't do. I think I'm 1 mana. Am I 1 mana short? Like, if I can put this into play, does that do it? 5, 10, 15? No. Yeah, I think we fall just short here. So I can Fanatic of Mogis. No! Yeah, so that would have cut me off. Lightning Bolt your face in response. These go up to 5s, unfortunately. I don't quite get it out of range of Dismember. Now we only get 2 of these triggers instead of 3. Our opponent goes to 6, and then we get attacked for lethal. That was very close. GG's. Okay. I think I'm keeping my hand. The question is, do I play Harmonic Prodigy before or after Burning Tree Emissary? Because as of right now, my turn 2 is Burning Tree Emissary, Harmonic Prodigy, which I think is perfectly fine to just put 5 power into play very, very quickly. Opponent gets to operate with perfect information here. Finishing the thought, though. If I play Harmonic Prodigy first, though, these double their mana production, and if I draw something like the 1 ring or a Fanatic of Mogis, it is potentially correct to play that in a different order. Ooh, I lost the Pyroblast, which probably means there's going to be some Psychic Frog nonsense happening. Another Pyroblast off the top. Hoo hoo hoo. Yeah, this game could get a little wild. I could be dealing with a very, very large amount of devotion relatively quickly. Marsh Flats. Are we Esper? No? Stop it. I would like to have my fun. Like to put fun on the stack. Alright, I lost the Prodigy, which means that I will just shove Burning Tree Emissaries in all likelihood. Do I want to be wastelandable? Not really, but I also kind of want to draw more land. Hey, more land. Alright. Do I want to Razorkin Needlehead or put 4 generic power into play? I think I'd rather one of these get dazed. Alright, it does resolve, meaning that I get to play another immediately and start building devotion, but unfortunately I can't use the third wave of mana. Tamiyo. Punished. It's very possible that my opponent has a counterspell, though. Tamiyo's gonna plus, meaning that these only get to do 1 point of damage per turn cycle. Ooh. Nice. That's such a good draw. Hey, it did just resolve. I think I'm not going to play around days here, and I'm going to attempt to just destroy this Tamiyo immediately. The upside is really high if my opponent does not have days, because it frees up 2 points. Oh, wow, they did have Force of Will. Do they know about my Pyroblast? No, because I just drew that. Anyway, not having to fuck around with the Tamiyo frees up 2 points of damage this turn, plus a lot of damage in future turn cycles. The Needlehead is going to do some work here on my opponent's life total. No! Stop it with these fucking thought seizes. That is a big blocker, unfortunately. That's not good immediately, but it's really good in the not too distant future. These are only attacking as 1 power creatures, so I don't think an attack makes sense here. Please grow your Nethergoyf. A little damage here. Tamiyo targeting Force of Will here. Not great for me. Put my opponent to the test. Show me your blue card. It's almost certainly there. I think I put my opponent to the test, though. So show me your counterspell. Pitching another Force of Will, sure. I hope that last card isn't Orcish Bowmasters. I'm going to attempt to trade a Burning Tree Emissary for Tamiyo. I don't think I let my opponent take Razorkin Needlehead, though. God damn it. Alright. That sucks for me. Now, my opponent still has to outclock me. This Razorkin Needlehead does threaten a lot of damage. Never mind. What a disaster. I don't think this game is over by any stretch of the imagination. I'll hold that. Guess I draw a Fable. It'll hurt, though. Tamiyo. Picking up 2 scary amounts of loyalty. I'm taking 4 damage per turn cycle. I think I'm more worried about the Tamiyo ultimate than I am about dying to aggro, I say as they play the second Nethergoyf. Yikes. That's a wasteland. An opponent takes Sheoldred's Edict back. Sure. I take 7, and I just bottomed out. That is disappointing. So, I love Pyroblast. Ghost Vacuum is a Magic the Gathering card. It has some negative synergy with Pyrogoyf, but does some good things versus Tamiyos and Nethergoyfs. I probably bring them in despite the negative synergy that exists. Kind of treating Burning Tree Emissary as one of my expendable cards here. And with Cursed Mirror, Cursed Mirror is fine, but expendable. And then the question is, like, do I want Lightning Bolts as well for Tamiyos and early Nethergoyfs? Not sure that I do. Do I want it for reach to the face? Maybe, if my opponent is still Thought Seizing. And then, I guess, is this favorable for me? It's probably favorable for me. Do I want to turn 1 Fable? I think so. It's a little awkward versus Force of Will specifically, because that would be my 3 for their 2. Otherwise, I think this is fine to good. Assuming that I get to do the looting, I can help grow Pyrogoyf. Fatal Push. Annoying. Pyrogoyf getting bigger, though. My opponent redraws. So, yes, I'm going to discard at least 1 card here. I think I'm keeping Pyrogoyf for Fable plus Pyrogoyf as my endgame. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk and go through 2 lands. Awkward. Pyroblast. I say no to that. Just play Eidolon this turn and have Pyroblast to stop a Planeswalker or something, or Frog. Giving up Pyrogoyf. Maybe that's fine. I'm not happy with how that looting ended up. But let's try to press my early advantage. My opponent didn't have a counterspell for Fable of the Mirror Breaker, so it would probably have to be a Daze here. Yeah, we are punished. So now the next turn cycle is awkward if my opponent does not play a blue permanent that I can nuke. And, yeah. We draw that blast, it's okay. And we're hoping to do cool things in the future. Wasteland's annoying. That's not blue. Yeah, this has just lined up super poorly for us. Nope, that is not what I'm looking for against my opponent's black card that is in play. So now my opponent gets another chance to wasteland me. Yeah, you got it. That is also not counterable by Pyroblast. I'm taking 3 points of damage immediately. Probably more soon. Pyrogoyf is a great draw, but without Ancient Tomb in my deck as a singular draw to get me towards that, I don't know that that's actually good. I'm just going to get smacked by these things 3 times and die. Oh? Yeah, sure. They do hit a Ponder. Daggers. Take 8. Play a blue card, you coward. Damn it. I mean, I just physically have to use my mana here. But this is open to Daze or Fatal Push or whatever. Yep. Dead to this. Yeah, that lined up super, super poorly for us. GG's. Alright, this opening hand just has no real plan to win. We're going to mulligan this one. Here we see some of the awkwardness of Nythkos. I'll be keeping this hand. I'm probably throwing back Harmonic Prodigy here. I'm just going to Mountain Pass with Pyroblast up. My opponent usually plays Grixis Control. I would consider Pyroblasting a turn 1 Ponder, for example. How with these fucking Thoughtseizes, folks? They're good against me. And take my Shatter Skull Smashing so that I can't actually deploy this. Or just take my Fable of the Mirror Breaker for value. Taking the Fable for value, that's fine. Alright. Well, our hand is tilting very, very heavily in a certain direction. My Nythkos is not particularly strong yet. Ooh, nice. Gonna get bonus value this turn. Don't mind that. Ponder didn't shuffle though, so that probably means that my opponent found a removal spell to get rid of this. Go me Fatal Push. Lightning Bolt. Tamiyo, sure. Don't mind that for the not too distant future. Let's attempt to nuke Tamiyo. Bash in for 2. Needlehead is doing some work here. Like, my opponent is at 12, and this is the only thing that has damaged my opponent other than their own cards. I will probably very aggressively Pyroblast, just like my opponent puts something blue on this deck. I just counter it. Don't think it matters what it is. Sure. Pyroblast not countering black cards too is bullshit. Just throwing it out there. Where's my power creeped Pyroblast? I think this is just a 4-2 attacker. I don't think we are waiting around to make this card better. I think I would like to press the advantage that I currently have rather than trying to save this as a combo finish. So, like, 1 damage puts my opponent to 10. If they play a blue blocker, I just Pyroblast that. They have missed a land drop. I want to take advantage of my current situation. Again, please don't have Bowmasters, because Bowmasters is black and can't be countered by Pyroblast. I can't fucking catch a break today. Fuck me. Alright. So now I trade for half of Bowmasters. Not the half that I was expecting. Sure. I mean, there's some sort of reanimate effect that my opponent wants to use. Is that the... yeah. We'll take 1 from this, which is fine. I now play out this land. Just in case like something like a Spell Pierce happens. Do this Pyroblast or something. I'm losing my goddamn mind. I was told that Pyroblasts were good against blue decks. I guess I would love to draw a value-oriented card like the One Ring or Pyroblast. I'm not going to read that card. I'm just going to Pyroblast it. Wait, are you fucking hexproof right now? During your turn, as long as it has 1 or more loyalty counters on it, it's a ninja with hexproof. Okay, so I can Pyroblast it on my own turn. Sure. You got it. My opponent likes both of their cards. Thanks, I hate it. So, attempt to blow up your Planeswalker. I'm going to save this as potentially a spell. So my opponent could have done this in a way that caused them to have an Orcish Bowmaster in hand right now. Or no Ponder Shuffle, they put cards on top before that they wanted. Not great. If I draw a Pyrogoyf or something like that at some point this game, my opponent is very likely to just die to it resolving. Yeah, sure. I will discard Chromox. So K command is probably why my opponent let Bowmaster hit the graveyard earlier. Force of Will hardcastable now. Layer on Spell Pierce at the cost of 3 life. I don't think so. I think 3 life is very real, and I am expecting hardcast Force of Will anyway. Yep. Yeah. I assume that a Pyrogoyf is lethal without counting. We'll hold this for a little bit longer. I can maybe get the Bowmaster and the Baleful Strix at the same time. We'll take 1 here from direct damage, 3 in combat. I am at 9, and opponent just makes a land. We're good. That's less exciting. We'll play it mostly for the sake of playing it. I expect it to resolve. Then just take out 2 creatures here. This is up to 2 targets. Take out the Bowmaster, I guess. Yeah. And pass. Cling to Dust. Sure. And that's fine. Cling to Dust can do some weird things regarding Pyrogoyf direct damage. I'll take 3 from this attack. I don't get many draws to get something that kills my opponent. Fanatic of Mogis doesn't quite do it on its own. Sure. Am I dead now? Sure, looks like I'm dead now. Sure. Yeah, we're a couple of draws away from the ring. Okay. Not sure that I'm sideboarding much here. I don't think Ghost Vacuum makes sense against a K command deck, even though my opponent has some graveyard synergies. I think despite the fact that it kind of sucked that game, I do, in theory, want more Pyroblasts. I think I want a couple of Furies to just help clearing out small creatures. It's just also a 3/3 double striker once the game goes long, and it will go long. My opponent's doing such a good job of killing my creatures that Cursed Mirror probably is not that good. 2 Furies? 2 Furies seems okay. I don't want to max out on those, I don't think. This is fine. I think I do play a Harmonic Prodigy on 1. Do I do Prodigy into Prodigy? Or do I just put 1 Prodigy under there and keep my higher impact cards? I think I keep my higher impact cards, even though the Pyrogoyf doesn't look good right now. But this Prodigy is probably good for like 3 points of damage, maybe a little more if left unchecked in the early game. It won't always be left unchecked. I think it is reasonable to attempt. I think my opponent has Lightning Bolt, just based on their timing. So I'll just drop them to 19. We're going to go ahead and Surveil here. I would love to put that in the graveyard. That's an artifact in graveyard for Pyrogoyf. So I will have at minimum artifact land, probably creature instant, when I actually get around to casting that. Which is honestly probably next turn. Sure. We don't want to see Thoughtseize on Pyrogoyf. Like, we would like to get that damage and then have our opponent remove it. I do need to put a land into graveyard here to maximize Pyrogoyf damage. So hopefully it resolves. Nice, we got Lava Axe. The opponent's at 14. They can pay, Fatal Push, Pyrogoyf, or whatever. Take it out of play. Not immediately, at least. They junked a Metamorphosis Fanatic, which could have just been a 4-power lifelinking creature. So let's see where this turn goes. It's probably trending towards dead Pyrogoyf, one way or another. Yeah, there we go. I try to double this trigger. I think I hold a land in hand so that my opponent can't make me discard Fanatic with Culligan's Command. Sure. What are we doing? Annoying, but does not stop direct damage. Sure. I do this turn. It probably doesn't have days. Play around it anyway. Nice. Draw. Double nice. Let's just Pyroblast that. I'm about to draw a bunch of cards off the One Ring. So I think I'm okay with that exchange of resources. Alright. So once again, I am asking you not to have Orcish Bowmasters. So, yeah. God damn it. Sure. So, one orc. Draw a couple more cards. Bigger orc. I'm at 15. We can Shatter Skull smashing away a bunch of this stuff. I think we take out the large token here rather than the Baleful Strix. Yaw. And pass. New land drop. Take the love tap. We will again be asking our opponent not to have Orcish Bowmasters as we draw cards with the One Ring. Okay, cool. Now things probably start getting pretty gross. And hopefully my opponent just dies next turn. So this is 2 Fanatic of Mogis triggers. They're each not worth that much. What is this shit? What are you doing for 6 mana in response to these triggers? I see. They're just paying extra for Consign to Memory. Oh yeah, that's fine. I'll just pass turn. I've got Lotus Petal for Pyroblast if some scary blue card goes on the stack. Or actually any blue card goes on the stack if my opponent has 1 card. So take some damage. Pyrogoyf. I think I have my opponent dead this turn if I have a little more mana, so I am willing to tap this. Ooh. Well. There's Nythkos, which I don't actually think I'm using this turn as a devotion-producing land. I think I am just playing Pyrogoyf, sending damage at face. Yeah, this is just lethal if it resolves, and if it doesn't resolve, I don't actually care. Yeah, dead. Yeah, with another one in hand, it's just perfectly fine. If that spell doesn't resolve, I don't think I need to play around anything there. So I've seen Metamorphosis Fanatic. I could play some Ghost Vacuums or Fairies to help out with that. Do I want more Furies? I conceptually do not hate them versus my opponent's army of small creatures. It is a great value card. I could see going down on Harmonic Prodigies and playing more Furies. I could also just see going down on Fanatic of Mogis. My devotion count's not high, but it is direct damage. So having Harmonic Prodigies in the deck means that I'm giving my opponent removal targets so that Pyrogoyfs and stuff have a better chance of living later. It's a really bad top deck later on, though. Maybe I just make this adjustment. This could be playing into my opponent's deck strategy, though, of like slowing down my deck and not maximizing my best possible draws. This is fine. I can't afford to play 2 copies of Chrome Mox, though. And want to find more mana. Not like that. Absolutely not like that. That is a red card that I can put under a Chrome Mox to Fable next turn. I think I am just going to guarantee that. And then if I resolve Fable, I get to play I get to use 1 Chrome Mox effectively and then loot through the second one. So land drop, Chrome Mox. Are you better than Fanatic of Mogis right now? If I loot through this, it's enchantment and creature. Put Fanatic under there. Feels a little weird, but I think it's correct. All right, hello, Goblin Shaman token. I expect that you die immediately. Bolt, push, bolt. And once again, asking you not to have Orcish Bowmasters. Yes, loot Chrome Mox. I think loot Lotus Petal. Sure. I am fine playing this. Nice, it does resolve. I don't need to make a land drop. I'll just pass the turn. I'll draw in their upkeep, I guess. Yeah. Nythkos, not doing a lot right now. Sure. So, Fable trigger. Don't have Bowmasters? We lose some Reflection of Kiki-Jiki value here. Like, it's fine, it's happening. But it just sucks. It's not like I am not going to draw the cards with the One Ring. Then the remainder of this turn is just kind of awkward. Yaw. And Spirit Guide feels like a 2/2 body. And I am fine sequencing it in this order. Fatal Push. Rough. So the worst part here... Ooh, sure. The worst part here is that I probably have to keep drawing cards with the One Ring. And then hope to like Pyrogoyf this token out of play or something. I think I'm going to take this hit. Now I should have blocked because this is 2 Bowmaster triggers. Shatter Skull Smashing is great. Is Shatter Skull Smashing my whole turn? I think that's okay being my whole turn. So yeah, the great Force of Will. I'm going to draw these cards while my opponent is tapped out. Fantastic. Attack for 2. Pyrogoyf into Fanatic of Mogis will potentially just outright kill my opponent. And we'll see what they have to say about that. Fuck. You know what Pyrogoyf doesn't kill? That. Sure. Pyrogoyf plus Fury will do that, though. I'd also like to find a new copy of the One Ring. Yeah? Why do they always fucking have it? They'll take 4 more damage here. I did not find a new copy of the One Ring, which I think means that I am dead. They can't quite kill my opponent this turn, I don't think. I can deal 6 to them, and then deal 3 to them. Die to my own One Ring. That is disappointing. Our deck is apparently bad against Bowmasters. Well, I think fuck it, we ball. 3 Razorkin Needleheads, deal with it, idiot, is a real plan. We are playing against Eldrazi rather than a blue card draw deck. Fuck. I mean, I'm still doing it, but I'm a little upset. Because if we are paired against a blue cantrip deck, like 3 of these just will eat our opponent alive. I am not sure that we will out-aggro a deck that can just play a 3/3 Sowing Mycospawn on turn 2 and stop all of the aggression from all of these copies of this card. Alright, so my opponent takes 1 for their draw and sends a bunch of stuff to exile. So they kind of sent a little bit of everything to exile. So it's hard to get a read on what exactly they were sculpting. It seems like they don't need mana or threats. Burning Tree Emissary not being perfect for curving out with Razorkin Needlehead here, unfortunately. Red Devotion pips are real. Alright. We'll grab our mountain, play another one. We have 2 damage per turn cycle from the draws alone. That's worth something. But the Thought-Knot Seer type cards, the Sowing Mycospawns that can just wall these, can start coming down immediately. Harmonic Prodigy is actually a really good draw right now, because we can Harmonic Prodigy this turn into Burning Tree Fanatic next turn. That would be spicy. Am I going to get Thought-Knot Seared? No, I'm going to get Kozilek Commanded. Let's play the other one now. Because my opponent decides to draw a card randomly. Mid-combat. Send them. Alright, so they are going with Spawns and exiling one of my Razorkin Needleheads and absorbing 2 points of damage. Sure. I'm going to hold Burning Tree Emissary as something to go under Chrome Mox rather than play it out in this turn cycle. Just in case you were wondering. I think Fanatic of Mogis or 5 direct damage is going to be a really big deal this game. Alright, lots of mana over here now. Alright, that's the start of a bad turn for me. So, alright, there's a 3/3 that is going to wall my Needleheads. So, turn getting worse. I'll take a bit of direct damage from Glaring Fleshraker as my opponent makes some spawns, and all these colorless creatures enter, putting me at 16 when the stack finally clears. Opponent still has a bunch of mana, so I do not expect that this turn is over yet. There's Sowing Mycospawn. That was kicked. Not great for me. That means it's now very hard to play this Fanatic of Mogis, and if I don't get this 5 damage off Fanatic of Mogis, I think my game is over, because my opponent revealed 2 of these at the beginning of the game, and next turn those become castable. And once my devotion count is lowered, I think we are cooked. After the Glaring Fleshraker triggers, I'm at 14. Still not done. And Chalice of the Void, which I think is just being cast for some damage rather than my opponent actually thinking that Chalice on 1 is going to matter. Yeah, so now my opponent gets to just murder me with their 7 drops. I am comfortable conceding here. Unfortunate. But we're looking at some combination of these cards. We're going Pyroblasts out. Are you actually good? You might not actually be that bad. Some of the stuff my opponent chains together is smaller. I think I've cut you every round. I think I'm going to continue to do so. I think I need all of these. I think these are going. Trim this. That gets me there. Or I could trim some Harmonic Prodigies. Harmonic Prodigy into Fanatic is just something very powerful that can steal me games. Is this more powerful than the free win potential? It might be when I'm on the play, and probably isn't when I'm on the draw. Land, Chromox, Imprint, Spirit Guide, double Lotus Petal, play out a turn 1 4-power attacker with 2 mana available for Pyrogoyf afterwards. Or slow roll this hand and attempt to Pyrogoyf my opponent's first creature. No. Turn 1 Blood Moon. It's a problematic turn 1 Blood Moon. Something that I say a lot on this channel is that a turn 1 lock piece with no follow-up is not a keepable hand. And we technically do not have a castable follow-up, but any red source gives me 2 different threats that will very quickly close the game. And my opponent has 2 basics in their deck, plus Lotus Petals to play any spells this game. I think this is a worthwhile gamble. Helps them dig for it. Please miss. Eldrazi Temple, that is not what they want. Mountain off the top. Nope. I did not keep this assuming that I was going to hit the first time. We're at roughly 50% every draw step. This is fine. That doesn't make colorless mana. My opponent just figured that out. Note that the interaction between Blood Moon and Yavimaya or Urborg is that Blood Moon wins. If you're curious why, look into something called dependencies. It has to do with layers. More mountains. Sure. I don't really know what my opponent is expecting me to have for Chalice on 1. I believe I have 3 1-drops. I believe I have 3 copies of Lightning Bolt. And I've shown my opponent no 1-drops yet. I think this should have been sideboarded out almost certainly. Cool. So now we start running into the question of, do I play the second Blood Moon or the second Razorkin Needlehead? I think it's the second Razorkin Needlehead. So each one of these is worth 3 damage per turn cycle. And I think the time here is more important than the safety of the extra Blood Moon. Nice. Opponent started to cast something. Bash in. Opponent is at 11. My opponent has something weird like Force of Vigor. A Blood Moon takes it out, but the green cards in my opponent's deck are devoid and don't actually pitch to Force of Vigor. So I do think I will play out the second Blood Moon. Now at this point, that starts playing around the 2-mana kicker Eldrazi. Chalice on 2. Sure. That is not gonna have an impact this game. Opponent's at 5, soon to be at 3. So either one of these living is just lethal. Spirit Guide for Sowing Mycospawn. With 2 Furies in hand, I do not expect that that is going to be enough here, because either one of these creatures connecting plus draw step is lethal. Sure. So you had either Spirit Guide or Lotus Petal in your hand previously. Thought-Knot Seer is a little annoying. I'm fine if I draw any red card or any land. It's just like Chromox that's a miss here. Yeah. So play. Don't even have to pay life here. 5 mana. And then we kill Thought-Knot Seer. Attack for 2 damage. 1 damage in the draw step is lethal. Am I happy with this? I want to swap out Harmonic Prodigy for Cursed Mirror or something to have more things that can copy Pyrogoyfs and Furies since they're so good. Or do I want to keep some more early game plays? These are probably rough on the draw. I think my opponent gets under these. I could see taking these out and going either and then one of these 2. I'm gonna play 1 Cursed Mirror. My first play, other than 2 for wanting myself to answer one of my opponent's creature, is a turn 3 Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. I do not feel like that is a hand that is competitive with the power level of Legacy Eldrazi. I think I need some fast mana or a Blood Moon or an incredibly aggressive hand, and I don't think this checks any of those boxes. Bury my opponent with the One Ring? I will consider that acceptable. I'm throwing back one of my 2-drops. Very unsure about which one. More Devotion Pips versus the ability to copy the trigger. I think I'm going to lean towards copying the trigger. This is the more aggressive option. This is the finisher option. I think I'm going to go with the finisher option after keeping the One Ring. Land sequencing is a little weird. There's like Surveil Lands versus Saving Life versus Wasteland to all think about. Ancient Tomb Pass. Blood Moon off the top? Negative, but that's a pretty good draw. That's just turn 1, the One Ring. Imprint Prodigy? I think Imprint Prodigy. Fetch. Play double Lotus Petal. And we'll use them to cast the One Ring. And then hopefully this just spirals the game out of control like it is wont to do. My opponent was on a 5-card hand to start with, so hopefully they can only make one play this turn, like Glaring Fleshraker pass. That would be ideal for me, and then I just answer that and continue to leverage the One Ring. Sowing Mycospawn revealed. Let's pop that out. Alright, there's Glaring Fleshraker. Hopefully no follow-up. Nice, no follow-up. Take 1. And let's figure out what we're doing. I need 4 mana to answer this. Chromox, Imprint, Fanatic, and Spirit Guide does that. 2 damage, 4 mana, and a Thundering Falls. That's an okay card. I don't think I have to keep that. Like, as a land, it costs me 3 life. As a spell, it's very inefficient compared to my opponent's Sowing Mycospawn, which they are probably playing this turn and wastelanding me with. The horrifying thing is if they have, like, a Spirit Guide or a Lotus Petal and can kick it and take out both of my lands. That would be a bit of a kick in the teeth. Ooh, opponent is chilling. That probably means Kozilek's Command. Nythkos, not great right now. Blood Moon, great right now. I mean, yeah, I will cast the Blood Moon. My opponent is probably taking 4 points of damage immediately to Kozilek's Command, make a bunch of colorless mana. They're going to scry and draw, make some spawns, and then I'm going to Fury away those spawns. And that will probably be GG. So Fury, pitch Spirit Guide, take out all 3 spawns. Now my opponent has no access to colored mana. I am drawing a gajillion cards every turn. So they had the option to either Sowing Mycospawn on my turn and wasteland me, or Sowing Mycospawn on their turn and get a basic land, and they took neither of those options. I don't know the contents of their hands, or whether or not that was correct or not, but that's kind of where we're at. The Spirit Guide for Sowing Mycospawn is a big deal, though, because that can make future spells castable. Going for colorless mana. Alright. So now I'm basically racing my own One Ring. So land drop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to try to have my cake and eat it 2 here. I'm going to play a new copy of the One Ring. Keep this one. I'm going to try to draw a red card here that I can put under Chromox. Thank you, Nythkos. Very cool. Any red card lets me play Fable of the Mirrorbreaker immediately. I'm still not worried. I can just draw like Furies and Pyrogoyfs and stuff, control the board that my opponent plays. It's pretty hard for them to just have a nutso spiral out of control turn when they are only on 2 cards in hand. Not Seer. Oh, that trigger cannot go on to the stack due to the One Ring. Sure. Let's just draw a Pyrogoyf. A Fury? A Fury is fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I hard cast that. So that just nukes the Thought-Knot Seer. Lets me draw a card. Let's play a Chromox. Imprint a Fable, play a basic mountain that causes me to sacrifice another basic mountain, play out Fable, and I am threatening an absurd amount of damage with Fanatic of Mogis, copy Fanatic of Mogis. I can also get this out of the way. Alright, so we do put a couple of wins on the board with our mono-red Devotion deck. Alright, so how are we feeling at the end of the league here? I think I built a reasonable mono-red Devotion deck list, as was asked. But is this better than just playing something that has Ancient Tombs in it? And I think the question is 100% no. I believe in the entire league, I had one opportunity to activate a mana-positive Nythkos Shrine to Nyx, and I just didn't need to do it or want to do it when that happened. And so this was just a card that did not cast my multiple red pip cards. And removal and counterspells are so mana efficient in Legacy that you are just not building up the requisite number of pips to make Nythkos good. And Blood Moon is such an important sideboard card in Legacy that I was mulliganing to it, which shuts off Nythkos, and Nythkos does not ramp out a Blood Moon. And we are also in one of the most Wasteland-dominated Legacy formats we've seen since Red and 6 was legal, because Sowing Mycospawn is just a turn 2 tutor for an untapped Wasteland, or turn 3 on a less good draw. So I don't think you should be messing around with Nythkos. I like the direction I took this in that Harmonic Prodigy plus Fable or Harmonic Prodigy plus Fanatic of Mogis has some very, very real text that can just immediately end a game. But there's a very wide gap between the power level of Fanatic of Mogis and Pyrogoyf. This has the flexibility to go at creatures. It has the flexibility to go at planeswalkers in multiples. It's very, very good since they trigger off of each other. If I were to run this back again, which I don't think I would, because I think this deck is supposed to have Ancient Tomb, and at the point where it has Ancient Tomb, this stuff doesn't really make sense anymore, then at that point, why are we playing this instead of just more objectively powerful cards? But if I were to run it back again, I think I would cut the Burning Tree Emissaries. I don't think they did enough work. Conceptually, I liked the main deck Pyroblasts as interaction that buys you time to get you to this. Maybe you just need some game 1 removal. Maybe you need game 1 Lightning Bolts, game 1 Furies. Maybe you need some 1-drops if you're not always going to be accelerating things out with Ancient Tomb. You can play the Goblin Guide style aggressive cards. I think one of the problems with this deck is it has very good conceptual hands. When we had Razorkin Needlekins in multiples, just dropping them and making every draw step hurt, that was meaningful. But when you instead have one Razorkin, Needlekin, and a Harmonic Prodigy, that looks so much worse. When you have Prodigy into Fable, that looks great. But I think there's a lot of combinations of cards you can draw that don't make good opening hands. And if you are trying to Nythkos as a core part of your strategy, but Eldrazi is one of the most popular decks in the format, so this card is necessary, it puts you in a weird place. So yeah, logo, I hope that was helpful in helping you refine your ideas for a mono red devotion deck list. Folks, if you have any other ideas, throw them down in the comments. I'm sure we'd love to read them. And need cards? Know where to go. TOAmagic.com, promo code ThrabenU to let them know that I sent you. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!